Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio-exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
Welcome to the Dogs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
Hey, what's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Josh All Alone, your host today. Hope everybody's having a great week. Today, I want to get back into the series of episodes that I started a while ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, when I did the offensive positional breakdowns. And I promised you guys I was going to dive into the defense here at some point, and today is that day, but we are going to split this into 2 episodes. Today, I am focused primarily on the defensive line. We'll do the defensive secondary and the linebackers in the next episode, but today will be the defensive ends, the edge rushers, and the interior defensive tackles. So that's what we're diving into today. Before I get into the content, though, I want to remind you guys, if you're on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the channel, tap the notification bell, and please, if you guys are listening on audio, please give us a 5-star review or a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. Really does help out the show. Head to jointhedogs.com if you want to play fantasy football with us. Join the Patreon, sign up over there, get into our fantasy football leagues. It's going to be a ton of fun this season. It's always a blast with the Dog Pack playing fantasy football. Rivalries are born, friendships are made, and championships last forever. So come claim yours. Jointhedogs.com to play fantasy football with us this year. And one final reminder, this is the last time you guys will see or hear on a podcast episode from the Dogs until Saturday. Before Saturday, because Saturday is the Browns Backers Bowling with Legends events at Wabash Lanes in New Philadelphia. So if you guys are within a driving distance from New Philadelphia, Ohio, get to Wabash Lanes on Saturday if you can from noon to 5. Hang out with Browns legends. Current Browns player Ralph Hawley will be there. Local boxer Sugar Dre Donovan will be there. Like guys like Mike Pruitt, Greg Pruitt, Browns legends, and it's just going to be a ton of fun. It's going to be a great day hanging out with everybody. So we hope to see you there. We're going to be live streaming from probably noon till about 2 is kind of our plan. But you know how we roll, just kind of go with the flow. So that is the plan for Saturday. We'll see you guys at the Tuscarawas County Browns Backers Bowling with Legends on Saturday, June 21st. Okay, so defensive ends. That's just where we're going to start on the line today. We're going to start on the outside and work our way in. And we obviously, we're going to start with the lead dog, the top guy, pretty much the face of the team. But before I get to his specific information here, let's look at the defensive end position from last year in 2024. The Browns went into the season on the initial 53-man roster with Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, Isaiah McGuire, Alex Wright, and Obo Okoronkwo. So that was the guys at the defensive end position who made the initial 53-man roster coming out of training camp. So to kick it off, Myles Garrett, 6'4", 275 pounds. He is now 29 years old. This will be his 9th season in the NFL already. It's just time flies when you're sacking people all over the place. So we all know the story from the offseason for Myles Garrett. He had 2 years remaining on his contract, didn't like how the 2024 season played out. Who the hell did? It was abysmal. So he requested a trade, said he wanted an opportunity to go somewhere where he had a chance to win a championship and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, that's not Cleveland, not right now anyway. Browns basically said, no, not trading you, don't plan on trading you. So, there was all the threat of, well, is he going to sit out? Is he going to forfeit money. He went on his trade request media tour. And again, said the team basically just is not set up to win right now. And then, of course, ended up signing the largest non-quarterback contract of all time, which stood for about a week until Jamar Chase signed his extension with the Bengals. But still, he signed a 4-year, $160 million contract with the Browns, $40 million annual average, cap number for this season, $22 million, 2025. Okay, so yes, Myles Garrett requested a trade, and no, he was not at OTAs, but he came back for mandatory minicamp, and he is a production monster on the field. If you guys saw the video clips from minicamp, he was not slacking off or taking it easy during his time off this offseason. He was working. The dude came out. He looks fast. He looks big. I mean, if you saw the interview clips, the press conference, his biceps, his arms are about the size of 2 of my heads put together. And I got a pretty big head. So Myles Garrett in shape, ready to go this year. He is the only player in the NFL currently with 10 or more sacks in the last 7 consecutive seasons. He's also the youngest player in NFL history to reach 100 sacks. He's the first to reach 100 sacks before the age of 29. He did that last year. And he is the 4th fastest player ever to reach 100 sacks. He did it in 115 games. So Myles Garrett has been a dominant presence on the outside for the Browns ever since they drafted him. Future Hall of Famer, all that kind of stuff. We don't need to go into too much because we all know what the deal is with Myles Garrett. As long as he is healthy, he's going to be on the field producing once again for the defense. He's in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year every single season. And, honestly, let's look for him to start off 2025 with 2 sacks against Joe Burrow and the Bengals in Week 1. Next up is Obo Okoronkwo, 6'2", 250 pounds, just turned 30 years old in April. This will be his 8th NFL season. So him and Myles are very, they're right there together in age. Myles has like 1 more year in the league than Obo, but these guys are kind of around the same milestone marks in the NFL. This will be the final year of Obo's contract currently with the Browns. He has a $5.3 million cap hit this season. So the Browns could cut or trade him over the summer here, and they could save like $1.5 million. It's nothing major. I think it will all come down to how this the training camp positional battle shakes out, among all these defensive ends. And this is why I'm doing the defensive line as its own separate episode here, because there are just so many guys to talk about on the defensive line itself. And then, there's even more talk about the linebackers. And then you got corners and safeties. So we'll get into all those guys on the next episode. But coming back here to the D-line and Obo, 2024 was not as great as his first season in Cleveland in 2023. In 2023, he had 31 tackles, 4.5 sacks, and 12 tackles for loss. Very nice season. 2024 came down. He had 23 tackles, 3 sacks, and just 5 tackles for loss. So that was a big drop in that production there. Obo has never been, nor will he be, a high-volume production player. He's undersized, in NFL standards or whatever. He's primarily a pass rush specialist. He's not in there to play rundowns or anything like that. He's playing on third downs, obvious passing situations, that type of guy. But he is still a very decent player to have in your arsenal of pass rushers. So that's why I think, he'll be here to play out his contract in 24 with the Browns, unless, like I said, something crazy happens with this defensive end position during camp, or another team comes in and just blows the Browns away with an offer to grab Obo. It's like, well, we might as well, that sort of thing. But otherwise, I think he's a lock for the roster. Now, the next guy is interesting because I was reading Ashley Bastock from Cleveland.com, made a post about this on social media. She was talking about the other starting edge position, the defensive end, opposite Myles Garrett, and the race between Isaiah McGuire and Alex Wright. And she said, at the moment, coming out of OTAs and minicamp, she's giving the edge to Alex Wright, 6'5", 267 pounds. He is 24 years old. He's heading into his 4th and final year on his rookie deal with the Browns. He has not had the career so far that we'd hoped for after the Browns took him in the 3rd round back in 2022. He had 28 tackles as a rookie, didn't play a whole ton, but then his second season, in that, kind of rotational, working in tandem with Obo and Zadarius Smith in 2023. Alex Wright came out, had 25 tackles, 5 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, and 2 forced fumbles. So it looked like after his second season, he was primed and ready for a big jump coming into last year in 2024. Then, unfortunately, suffered a torn triceps in week 4 last season. He was placed on IR, having after he had tallied up 8 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack over those first few games. If you remember, down in Jacksonville against the Jaguars, he did have that sack safety against Trevor Lawrence that kind of helped seal the game for the Browns because that was early in the season. We didn't know just how bad the Browns were going to be last year, but if some of those plays at the end, including this big play by Alex Wright, don't happen, we might not beat the Jaguars last year. And the Jaguars weren't any better than we were, really. I mean, they had the 5th overall pick and we had the 2nd. So both teams were pretty darn bad last year. So hoping for big things from Alex Wright. This year, between him and the next guy I'm going to talk about, Isaiah McGuire, we've seen enough flashes to believe that at least one of these guys can step up, provide the Browns defense with solid production off of that edge opposite Myles Garrett. But despite those flashes, the Browns are still adding more pieces to this group, who we'll get to after I talk about Isaiah McGuire, 6'4", 268 pounds. McGuire's 23 years old. This is his 3rd NFL season. 3rd year, like I said, on his rookie deal, just a $1.2 million cap hit. So if we can get average starter level production or rotational level production from McGuire on this contract, that would be excellent. He only played 4 games as a rookie. If you're kind of catching a theme here, rookies don't contribute a whole ton typically for the Browns. Only 4 games as a rookie, but he played in I shouldn't say all 60. He played in 16 of the 17 last year. 36 tackles, 8 tackle for loss, 9 QB hits, 2.5 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles. So a very nice sophomore season. It's going to be a good competition between Isaiah McGuire and Alex Wright. And I think that I'm not saying these guys are going to be world beaters or Pro Bowl caliber players or anything like that, but I think that they can be adequate NFL starters opposite Myles Garrett, especially with the way we've beefed up the defensive interior. So I have, when I say I have high hopes for Wright and McGuire, I'm not talking about one of these guys is going to get 10, 11, 12 sacks. No, I mean, that would be incredible, but that's not the expectation. The expectation is to really just competently hold down the fort and be a strong presence on the other side of the defensive line. So that kind of wraps up the guys that were here last year in 2024. So now we look at the new guys that we signed to this defensive end position, this edge rushing position. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, 6'5", 260 pounds. Now, Shoyinka is listed as an edge/outside linebacker. He's 26 years old, 5th season. He was the 32nd overall pick in the 2021 draft by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So he was a 1st-round pick. He was signed to a 1-year deal, $4.75 million with $4.19 guaranteed. So almost all of it's guaranteed with the Browns for this year. Let's see. Over his time in Tampa Bay, he totaled 138 tackles, 15 sacks, and 21 tackles for loss. That was in 66 games played. His season high in sacks is 5. There's a lot of talk, though, about JTS not being used to the best of his strengths while he was in Tampa Bay. The beat reporters at Browns OTAs and minicamp talking about how fast this guy gets off the line, and they're excited to see him more properly utilized in Jim Schwartz's wide 9 front. So I'm cautiously optimistic for JTS here. I think that there could be some sneaky production, some that maybe we as fans aren't necessarily looking at right now. We're talking about Myles Garrett, and then who else? We talk about Alex Wright, we talk about Isaiah McGuire, Obo, just because he's been here the last 2 years, so we're familiar with the name. But JTS, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, could be a guy that comes in and gets to the quarterback a little more often than we might be thinking, and it might not be long into the season before we all know his name and we get kind of used to hearing it on the broadcast, is what I'm hoping for. because I do think the guy has some serious potential. And the last guy that I'm going to dive into here on the defensive end position will be Julian Okwara, 6'4", 250 pounds. He's 27 years old. This will be his 6th NFL season. He was a 3rd-round pick by the Detroit Lions in 2020. The Browns signed him to a 1-year, $1.3 million contract with just $240K guaranteed, so this guy could easily be chopped right at the end of training camp. We'll see how things go in the preseason. But I at least wanted to mention him and give a few details on him since he is a new signing. He very well could earn a role in the rotation at the position. He had, 27 tackles, 5 sacks, 6 tackles for loss in his 2nd season with Detroit. So a pretty promising 2nd season, kind of, like Alex Wright had for the Browns. Now, his production has not really improved since that season. He has dealt with injuries. He has spent time on and off the practice squad with the Lions. So that's why it's a very minimal contract that the Browns signed him to, just to bring him in, add a little more depth to that position, create a little more competition during camp, all that kind of stuff. If I were to guess, I would not think Julian Okwara will be on the roster, at least to start the season. He might filter his way through waivers and end up on the Browns practice squad. We'll see. But I do think that the guys I've already talked about, obviously Garrett, Obo, JTS, Wright, and McGuire, those got to be the locks for the defensive end position. And that's 5 guys right there. So I don't know if there's much room for somebody else like Okwara, but we'll see how things shake out this summer. A couple other names just to mention that are currently on the roster for training camp. You'll hear about them. You'll see them in the preseason, that kind of stuff. So we might as well throw them out there. Sam Kamara, he's been around for a few years now. Cameron Thomas, he played some last year. Ellerson Smith and Aiden Huntington, who's a UDFA, are guys who will be at training camp, like I said, playing in the preseason and just trying to earn a spot on the roster and or the practice squad. The one guy, maybe the 2 guys, the 2 names in that list that I like to have an opportunity to, earn a bigger role than maybe we're expecting. One is Cameron Thomas, just because he did show a little bit last year that he impressed at moments. Nothing crazy or anything like that, but I do remember watching games and thinking, wow, Cameron Thomas is actually kind of getting after it. And then the other guy is Aiden Huntington. He's the UDFA. I mentioned that there's been some buzz throughout rookie minicamp, OTAs, and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see how training camp shakes out for that young fella. This episode is sponsored by Southern New Hampshire University. Browns fans, I can't tell you guys how many people I've known over the years who have missed out on job opportunities simply because they don't have the right degree or even have a degree at all. I mean, these are people who otherwise would have been perfect for the position they wanted, but they got turned away simply because of educational requirements. If you've ever felt stuck in a job you didn't enjoy, or you felt unqualified or unable to advance your career due to your lack of education or experience, heck, maybe you even have a degree, but now you feel like you chose the wrong major, Southern New Hampshire University could be the answer for you. Go to snhu.edu/bark, B-A-R-K, to learn how you can get started today. SNHU has programs in psychology, cybersecurity, computer science, sports management, game development, data analytics, and finance. SNHU is one of the largest online accredited universities in the United States, and their programs are radically affordable. Their online tuition rates are some of the lowest in the nation. And you might even be eligible for financial aid or have prior college credits that could fast-track your degree at SNHU. And because networking is everything, your courses are taught by faculty with real-world experience, so you'll have opportunities to connect with people inside the industry. And then when you graduate, SNHU will still be there to help you as you begin your job search. So if you're ready for something new, head over to snhu.edu/bark and learn how you can get started working toward your new career today.
Since 1989, Mount Hope Fence has set the standard in outdoor living. From decks and railings to fences and patios, we've got you covered. Our lineup features top brands like TimberTech, Alumagard, Preferred Railing, and Unilock, along with our own premium Duralux vinyl products. For over 30 years, we've partnered with contractors ensuring reliable job site delivery. Discover quality and excellence in all things outdoors with Mount Hope Fence.
This is an ad by Regain Couples Therapy and features real testimonials.
This was our first time trying therapy, and honestly, it was long overdue. Looking back, we just wish we had started sooner.
Regain's qualified therapists help couples when they can't get there on their own.
We thought it was intimacy issues, but Andrea helped us uncover a deeper root cause we hadn't even realized was there.
Visit regain.com/couplespod to get 10% off your first month. Regain, powered by BetterHelp.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio-exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
Okay, let's shift our way now into the interior and talk about the defensive tackle position. Last year in 2024, get my years mixed up here, the Browns went into the season on the initial 53-man roster with Dalvin Tomlinson, Shelby Harris, Maurice Hurst, Quentin Jefferson, and Michael Hall on the roster, though Michael Hall was on the commissioner's exempt list, if you remember, to start the season, so did not count against that initial 53 to begin with. So here we're just going to start off with the veteran who was here last year and is still on the roster, and that would be Shelby Harris, 6'2", 288 pounds. He is 33 years old. This will be his 11th NFL season. He's definitely a seasoned veteran. It's the final year on his deal with the Browns. He's a $2.8 million cap hit, and the Browns do not stand to gain anything by cutting him. So I would imagine, unless he just flat gets beat out in camp and there's no room on the roster for him, Shelby Harris will be here. And I do think he'll be an integral part of the defensive interior this season. He had a strong 2024 season last year for the Browns. He worked in that rotational depth role behind Tomlinson and these other guys, Hurst and Jefferson, these guys. And he had 37 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble. He's, like I mentioned, a great veteran guy to have on the line, especially early on this season, because we have young guys who need to continue to develop at the NFL level, and they're not ready for big roles right out the gate this season. That would be Mike Hall and Mason Graham. So they need to develop and work. And, because Mike Hall just missed so much time last year, he didn't really get a full season logged as a rookie. Mason Graham, again, just a rookie, and defensive tackle is one of the more difficult positions to acclimate from college to the NFL. So Shelby Harris, great veteran to have on the roster. The next guy this might be the most under-the-radar signing the Browns made this entire offseason. And it's a guy that I'm actually very excited to see how he contributes, especially early on in the season, on the defensive line next to Myles Garrett and with some of these other pass rushers we have off the edge. And it's Malik Collins, a new veteran face to the defensive front, 6'2", 311 pounds. He's 30 years old. This will be his 10th NFL season. He signed a 2-year, $20 million contract with the Browns with $13 million guaranteed, just a $4.2 million cap hit here in 2025. So just based on his experience and the contract the Browns gave him, I expect Malik Collins to lead the pack for the defensive interior here in 2025, especially, like I said, early in the season. Last year with the 49ers in San Francisco, Malik Collins had 33 tackles, 20 solo tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and 5 sacks. He has started pretty much every single game he's ever played his entire career. He's logged over 5,700 snaps ever since he entered the league back in 2016. The Dallas Cowboys took Collins in the 3rd round of the 2016 draft, and he has had a very solid NFL career. This is a great addition by the Browns, and I think that they did what they could to beef up. They've been trying for years to beef up and solidify the defensive interior position. They've drafted a bunch of guys who haven't worked out. They've signed a bunch of guys who haven't worked out. I think that this year they went head on. With the 5th overall pick, they grabbed Mason Graham. They said, we're going to fix this thing for the long term. And in free agency, they signed Malik Collins and said, we are going to solidify this thing for the short term. And I think it was and could prove to be the most underrated signing by the Browns this offseason. All right, next guy up, as mentioned before, Michael Hall Jr., 6'3", 300 pounds. He is just 21 years old, so this is a very young fella. It's his second season in the NFL. He was the Browns' first pick, if you remember, in the 2024 draft. They took him in the second round, the 54th pick in the draft out of Ohio State. Now, we all remember the story, unfortunately, from last year, and it's worth rehashing just a little bit here. In August last year, during the preseason, he was arrested for a domestic dispute, and of which that Hall pleaded no contest to a reduced charge of disorderly conduct during his hearing in September. He was given a 30-day suspended jail sentence, a $250 fine, and 2 years monitored time. Don't need to go into any more details because I just wanted to hit it real quick since I mentioned he was on the commissioner exempt list. If you don't remember, or maybe you're new to the fan base and you're like, well, why was he on the exempt list? He had a domestic dispute, blah, 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 all in all, not a great situation. You can go look up the details for yourself if you want more, but ultimately, like his girlfriend, fiance, who was, the other person in the dispute, she did retract some of her accusations from that night, but either way, it was just kind of a mess. It landed him on the exempt list, like I said, and he missed the first 5 games of the season. Now, Hall did come back in Week 6 against the Philadelphia Eagles. He played 4 games when he came back. Then he missed 4 games. After that, with a knee injury, he came back in Week 14, and then he played the final 4 games of the season before he was carted off during the season finale in Baltimore with a knee injury. So he had surgery this offseason to repair his knee. Really, it was about as bad of a rookie season as you could have, considering where the Browns drafted him, second round pick, first pick they had in that draft last year, and really what they expected him to do for the team and for the defense in 2024. So not a great rookie season at all for Michael Hall. Hopefully just a whole bunch of crap and garbage that he can put behind him and move on and build from there. He logged just 232 snaps last season, only 14 tackles, 1 sack, 3 tackles for loss. This dude is going to need a strong 2025 season to redeem himself from last year and to shake off any notion that he was a wasted second-round pick. AB has definitely had trouble drafting defensive tackles over the last 5 drafts that he's been here. Now, he just took Mason Graham here in his 6th draft, hoping that one hits, hoping Michael Hall's a hit because none of the guys before him have really been a hit at all. So, still got high hopes for Michael Hall, he's just got to put it together this year for sure. Now let's talk about Mason Graham, the 5th overall pick from this year's draft. 6'3", 296 pounds, 21 years old. The Browns traded back from number 2 with the Jaguars to number 5 to take Mason Graham. I think it's worth remembering in that trade, the Jaguars ended up getting Travis Hunter and Bashal Tutin in the 4th round or something like that. And then they got a safety or something later. I forget what their haul ultimately was, but basically for Travis Hunter, the Browns ended up with Mason Graham, Quinshon Judkins, Dylan Sampson, and the 1st round pick from the Jaguars next year in 2026. So the Browns get Mason Graham, and they will now pair up a former Buckeye in Michael Hall right next to a former Wolverine in Mason Graham, and hopefully they will solidify that defensive interior. It has worked out so well in the past that Andrew Berry has now used the first pick of the last 2 drafts at the position. If you kind of hear a theme here I'm harping on, Andrew Berry is not putting together very strong defensive interior so far. He has been trying, just has not been succeeding. So Mason Graham hopefully is going to be part of the major part of the answer to this. He totaled 108 tackles, 18 tackles for loss, and 9 sacks over 39 career games at Michigan. Last season, he had 45 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, and 3.5 sacks. He was the pretty much consensus top-rated defensive tackle in this entire draft class. Accolades from last year: first team Associated Press All-American, first team All-Big Ten, finalist for the Ben Bednarik Award, nation's top defender, and he was a finalist for the Outland Trophy, which is the nation's top offensive lineman or defensive lineman. So, Mason Graham comes in here with all the accolades, all the production, and all the potential to be the Browns' long-term, very strong answer at the defensive tackle position. So that's what we're hoping for with Mason Graham. Couple other names here on the defensive interior to mention. Jawan Briggs from last year, 7th round pick in 2024, and then Ralph Hawley, who is the Grey Cup champion that they signed this offseason from the CFL. We should, as long as everything works out okay, be talking to Ralph Hawley on Saturday on our live stream during the Browns Backers Bowling with Legends event. So make sure you guys tune into that live stream or catch the replay later. It'll be on demand on all the video platforms. The podcast will be out on Sunday. All that kind of stuff. So tune in, hear what Ralph Hawley, hopefully we get to sit down with him, we should, has to say about the Browns and his journey through the CFL and everything to get here. But it's going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to that event. And really that wraps up everything with the defensive line. Like I said, I wanted to section this off from split the defense kind of down the middle here because there were so many names to talk about. And, today we went over edge rushers, defensive ends, and the defensive interior positions. We will dive into linebackers, safeties, and cornerbacks on the next episode. Drop in the comments anything you guys want to know, any questions you have, or any comments about these positions specifically, these players. Who do you think will be the most underrated guy from the Browns offseason? Will it be Malik Collins, like I think, or maybe it's JTS on the edge? Do you think that he could be the most underrated signing for the Browns this offseason, or is it somebody else? Do you think Mason Graham's going to have a big year? Do you think Michael Hall's going to bounce back and show why he was worthy of a second-round pick last year? Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Again, we appreciate you tuning in. If you want to play fantasy football, last reminder here for today, head to jointhedogs.com. Join the Patreon. It's just $5 a month, the only stipulation. You got to be in the Patreon. You got to be a member throughout the duration of the fantasy season. Again, not a huge financial commitment to you, but it does help us out a lot in the long run for this podcast, help support us, and we appreciate everybody in the dog pack. Lastly, Monday night, we did a listener mailbag segment live on YouTube and Facebook and X, and it went so well. It was a lot of fun, and we want to do it again next week. So if you've got questions, if you've got comments or takes that you want us to play, react to, answer live on the show, we're probably going to do that Monday or Tuesday next week. So make sure you get your questions in. Head to thedogspodcast.com, tap leave voicemail in the drop-down menu, or you can just send us a message. It'll give you the option. You can record a voicemail, send it in, we'll play it on the show, or you can just write in a message. It sends it right to our email, and we'll read it on the show if you don't want your voice on there, which is totally understandable. We get it. So just want to hear from you guys. Be part of these shows during this 5-week summer break until the Browns report back for training camp. We're going to answer all of your questions, react to all your takes, and just talk Browns football during this break. So we appreciate everybody tuning in and interacting with the show. And until we see you guys live on Saturday from Wabash Lanes in New Philadelphia, let's go Browns.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dogs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedogspodcast.com.
This episode is brought to you by Baden Sports. Browns fans, it's summertime. Time to get outside and take advantage of the beautiful weather and play some backyard games. Head over to badensports.com, BADEN sports.com/dogs, and check out all their summertime gear. And for 10% off your entire order, just use promo code DOGS, DAWGS, when you check out. Now, if you guys love pickleball, Baden Sports has all the gear you need, including a variety of paddles, balls, and complete pickleball sets with a pack-and-go carry case so you can play in the backyard or take it on vacation to play with the entire family. Baden Sports also has volleyball and badminton sets, croquet, horseshoes, bocce, and even Vikings chess. And no summer break is complete without some good old-fashioned wiffle ball. Plus, Baden has all kinds of different basketballs with special outer layers that are designed specifically for whatever surface you'll be playing on. So don't waste 1 second this summer. Head to badensports.com/dogs to get the backyard outdoor gaming gear that your family needs and get 10% off your entire order with promo code DOGS, DAWGS, when you check out. That's badensports.com/dogs.
If you work as a manufacturing facilities engineer, installing a new piece of equipment can be as complex as the machinery itself. From prep work to alignment and testing, it's your team's job to put it all together. That's why it's good to have Grainger on your side. With industrial-grade products and next-day delivery, Grainger helps ensure you have everything you need close at hand through every step of the installation. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio-exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.